what is expected from our discussion is that we need to find the threshold. Say this would be the most general case for the two symbol case itself. Okay, where we need to find the threshold. Okay, such that the probability of error would be minimum. Okay, so that is the ultimate goal of our discussion. So we are not setting the threshold because we are designing the estimator. Designing the estimator in the sense we need to set that value of threshold such that we would get the minimum error in probability. So we'll stick to our discussion. I will stick our discussion to two symbol case itself for today, and we will try to apply the same to our our basic line coding schemes and try to find out or try to evaluate the individual performances. Let's quickly move on to that. I'll just redraw that two symbols case definition, where if this represents probability distribution of test statistic given S1. So these are the
So we're using various line coding schemes because it's delta Z that affects the probability of error, right?
correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll understand more clearly when I take particular cases. Anyway. So now we know that the mean value of this is that we have considered in the last class as Z1 or I mean this is S1 and this is S2. In general, I can say this has some variable A1, okay, and A2 doesn't have anything. And we had set the threshold at the crossover point. Now we'll set the threshold, okay, not necessarily at the midpoint, somewhere here, and our job is to find this threshold lambda naught such that our probability of error is minimum. Okay, yeah, that is the goal. That is a picture that we are going to utilize for today's discussion. So basic definition of probability of error is that we had done in the last class as well. It's probability of S1 transmitted symbol into probability of having a test statistic under the curve of I mean, if I say this as hypothesis region H2, yeah, sorry, this as H1 and this as H2. Okay, so if S1 is transmitted, if the test statistic falls in all the region on left side of threshold, then it would be considered as a symbol S2 and you would incur an error. So mathematically, I can express that as this as probability of S1 and probability of having the test statistic in the region of H2 given the symbol S1 is transmitted, or a probability of S2 times probability of having the test statistic in the region of hypothesis region of H1 given that S2 is transmitted. Okay, we'll develop similar theory as yesterday.
So could you just scroll up a little?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so probability of S1.
Thanks.
Yeah, okay. Probability of S1, so times, so this is conditional in a probability distribution. So we know the distribution already, which is nothing but this is integrating over all the values from minus infinity to the threshold. I'll take the threshold as lambda as of now. I'll I'll condition the probability of error to be minimum such that such that what would be my threshold, and that threshold would be getting it as lambda naught. Okay, as of now, I'll just keep the threshold value as a lambda in general. Okay, where the integral is from minus infinity to lambda, probability of z given S1, that is your hypothesis region H2 dz, plus probability of S2 times the other integral from the region in hypothesis region 1, z given S2 dz. Okay. So now we can
Differentiate with respect to lambda and equal to 0.
Exactly, exactly. We are supposed to do that, but we can do little, small adjustment here. So this would be, minus infinity to lambda, which will retain as it is. What we'll do for the second expression is that we understand that
1 minus
exactly. So we can take this complement of this integral
minus infinity to
into
lambda.
lambda. Yeah, so this integral seem to be identical with each other, and hence that is the only intention with which this is rewritten in this fashion. Okay, all right. So this is my probability of error. So just to keep in more compact form. So probability of, if I expand this is probability of S2, which gets multiplied 1, and I can group the integral part, which is integral minus infinity to lambda as a common term, and what is in the bracket is probability of Z given S1 into probability of S1 minus probability of Z given S2 times probability of S2 dz. Okay. Now our aim is to minimize the probability of error. So we need to find threshold. Okay, we need to find the threshold, this lambda, such that okay, the error is minimal. Basic mathematical uh, that relation that you know that uh, differentiating the first order differentiation of this function and equating it to 0 would and solving for lambda would give that value of threshold lambda for which this probability of error is minimum. But you observe that
We will have
certainly,
to also check for the squared differential, right?
yeah, second order differentiation should be negative
Yeah.
after substituting lambda, and you can definitely check that once we derive an expression for lambda. Okay. All right. So if I try to differentiate this p error with respect to lambda, you observe that lambda exists in the integral limits. Okay, so this is not a regular integration method. So we need to resort to one rule known as
Lagrangian.
Leibniz
Um,
rule.
yeah, yeah.
Leibniz. Okay. Yeah. So since integral, okay, since integral limit has the variable itself has a lambda, let's apply something known as Leibniz rule. Okay, right. So the Leibniz rule in general, it says that if I try to differentiate with respect to a variable whose limits uh, are the function of the variable itself, say lower limit is a of u and upper limit as b of u, and the function, say if it's a multivariate function, say f of z u du, then it says that you substitute z as its upper limit d of u comma u and take the first derivative of this function
Upper limit.
upper limit uh, upper limit which is d of u. Okay, then so do that for the lower limit minus f of a of u comma u, okay, d by du a of u, and plus then we can integrate the function with the limits of a of u and b of u, which partially differentiates this function of z comma u du. And of course, we need to equate this expression to 0. It's what we are trying to do to in order to minimize to find out the variable lambda or variable u in this case. So here for our situation, we can see that the function f of z comma u is what? So f of z comma u is whatever within the
A P
integral.
error.
Yes, no, the f of z comma u. This
Oh,
is
it's
what
the
we are trying.
argument of the integral. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Integral. That's right. Right. Okay. So in that sense, I can say that f of z comma u is probability of z given s1, because this is constant. So with respect to lambda, this differentiation will be 0. So this function is minus p of z given s2 times p of s2. Okay. And what is a of u? I mean, okay, we'll try to differentiate it later, because the third term in the Leibniz rule says that we need to partially differentiate with respect to lambda. We'll do that, where u here is equivalent to lambda in our case. Okay, but you see that the lower limit a of u in our case is what? The lower limit in our
Minus
case is
infinity.
minus infinity,
Independent of lambda.
independent of lambda, is some large number. So that the second term here, which has the term of d by du of a of u, would be 0. So b of u is, the upper limit is lambda, whose first order differentiation, I think u should be replaced by lambda of lambda, which should be a unity. And the third term, if you can see, we observe that this f of z comma u, in the sense this is u is lambda, the entire expression is independent of lambda. You can see that p of z given s1 and p of s1 minus p of z given s2, p of s2 is independent of the threshold lambda itself. So this is independent of the variable lambda. So this implies that the partial derivative with respect to lambda, which is f of z comma lambda, is 0. Okay, so the second term is 0, the third term is 0. So the term gets retained in the expansion of the Leibniz rule is the first term. Okay, so now we see that only the first term that exists. Okay, so therefore, okay, that d error d by lambda, which is now can be written as the first term here. First term is f of b of u. Okay, I'll write that f of b of u comma u times d by du of b of u, which should be equated to 0. So what is f of b of u? I mean, we should apply. I mean, we should substitute z. We should substitute b of u in place of z, which can be written as now as p of s1, and the second term here in the product is p of z given s1. So we should replace now z with the function here. So p of z given s1, in the sense at z is equal to say a constant, say lambda naught, for which we will get the error, a probability of error as minimum, given s1 minus p of s2 times p of z at some value lambda naught, given s2 should be equated to 0. Let's say equated to 0. Okay. Fine. So this implies that rearrange the term. What we can write here is that p of z given lambda naught given s1 over the distribution p of z equal to lambda naught condition s2 is transmitted would be equal to what? Would be equal to p of s2
by p of s1.
S1, that's correct. Okay, and we know the distribution. Yeah, we know
Convert
the
into the Gaussian representation.
Gaussian representation, correct. So the numerator here would be 1 over root 2 pi sigma times exponential of, you can say, the work. So exponential of minus z minus a1. So where z is now is equated to lambda naught, which should be replaced with the variable lambda naught minus a1, which is the mean value of this conditional probability, divided by 2 sigma square. Okay, that's your numerator. Similarly, the denominator is a similar term, 1 over root 2 pi sigma exponential of lambda naught minus a2. Thank you. Yeah, so this can be simplified now. As you can see, yeah, correct. This is a square term. So this, if I try to expand, the numerator is e power minus 1 over 2 sigma square. So if I expand that term, this is lambda square plus lambda naught square plus a1 square minus 2 lambda naught a1. Similarly, the denominator can also be expanded with basic arithmetic, where this is lambda naught square plus a2 square minus 2 lambda a2, which is equal to the ratio of
We
probability of
can bring
S2.
those to the top, the
Yeah,
bottom ones.
yeah, yeah, we can club those. If I club those, so lambda naught square term gets cancelled. So we can write this succinctly as what? Lambda naught. Okay, so if I
A1
take this term,
square minus A2 square.
yeah, that is the term. If I take lambda naught, if I pick this first, what will be
Okay,
left?
so A2. So I think it should
A1
be
minus
it will be
A1
A2
minus.
minus. It will be
No,
A2
this is
minus.
minus. The minus outside.
Oh, you're taking that
So
inside first. Okay.
yeah, I'll be taking that inside. So this will be plus A1. So if I bring this top, so this is plus, and if I bring that onto top, this will be minus A2, and denominator is 2 sigma square. The 2 and 2 gets cancelled. So what is left here in the denominator is
Lambda
simply
naught by sigma square.
is A, yeah,
Sigma, sir. Yeah.
yeah, sigma square. Okay. So then what is left? Yeah, the term which is a1 square and a2 square. This is minus anyway. So if I put minus outside, so I can write this as a1 square minus a2 square over 2 sigma square. So this is the exponential part, which is equal to probability of S2 over probability of S1. Okay. Fine. So to eliminate this exponential term, I can take a natural logarithm on both sides, such that this will become lambda naught by sigma square of a1 minus a2 minus a1 square minus a2 square over 2 sigma square is equal to natural logarithmic of this ratio P of S2 over P of S1. Okay, now our aim is to find out lambda naught. So how can I do that?
So we
Lambda
can take
naught,
out A1 minus A2 common first.
yeah. So if I take this, I mean, break this as A1 plus uh, A2 times A1 minus A2 and divided by 2 sigma squared. This is natural logarithmic of this ratio. Okay. Now, as you rightly said, to have lambda naught, I should take a1 minus a2 by sigma square, which is the common in both the terms. And if I take that onto the other side, what would be left here? What would be left? So lambda naught I'll retain on the left hand side. Okay, I'll just skip that one step and multiply onto the right hand side and bringing this onto the right. So what is left here is a1 plus a2 by 2 is left. Okay, and the right hand side gets multiplied with the term sigma squared by a1 minus a2 times ln of p of s2 over p of s1. This is my generic equation for the threshold for which the probability of error is minimum. Okay. So you observe that the first term is mean value of A1 and A2, correct? So this was what we had set in our earlier case. In a sense, if for the case of equiprobable, P of S1 is equal to P of S2, okay? If these two are equal, obviously the second term is 0. So this gave us lambda naught, okay? As simply as, we'll call it as some other, representation as tau, which is the mean value of A1 plus A2 over 2. So this becomes, the threshold becomes the crossover point for the symbols if they are if they are appearing equally likely. If they are not, then it will have an offset of which depends on the probabilities of individual transmitted symbols. Okay, yeah. So you can replace this with tau as well if you wish. Otherwise, this can be retained as it is. Having set this threshold, our job is to find out the probability of error. So which would give us the minimum probability of error for this set threshold. Okay, let's try to find out that value of probability of error which we expect to give a minimum value. Okay, so having said this, okay, write that statement. Having set this threshold, okay, let's try to obtain the probability of error. Okay, so what would that be? Probability of error, okay, we can represent this as probability of p suffix e, which is probability of transmitting symbol s1 plus probability of error which has occurred by transmitting symbol s2. So which we know that this can be represented with our basic relation, which is probability of s1 into probability of h2 under the condition of transmitted symbol s1, p of s2 times p of h1 given s2. Fine. So let's continue doing this, similarly what we had done in the last session as well. But now the threshold is not at the crossover point, which is arbitrarily at some point. So the integral is will be with respect to that threshold, which will be giving us the minimum value of probability of error. Probability of S1, so we know that this is the conditional probability which runs from the limits minus infinity to lambda naught now, which is the threshold which is set, P of Z given S1. I'll just write this one step before substituting the values. Probability of S2 times integral lambda naught to infinity, probability of Z given S2 dz. All right, so this condition probability that we know is your Gaussian distribution again. So that I can replace that condition probability as 1 over root 2 pi sigma exponential of what? Minus of z minus a1 whole square, okay, divided by 2 sigma square dz plus this is exactly same as what we have done for two symbols case in the last session. But here this is with the non-equiparable symbols. We'll get the similar expression. Don't worry. Okay, it's kind of a repetition what we have done in the last class, but this will give us the most generic expression: z minus a2 the whole square divided by 2 sigma square dz. If you can recollect, yesterday we made substitutions, correct. So let's do the same process. So put z minus a1 by root 2 sigma as some variable u, so that this will be exponential of minus u square, and quickly do that. Dz would be root 2 sigma du, and if you set the threshold, lower limit as minus infinity, this will make u also to tend to minus infinity, and when z is equal to lambda naught, now u is what? U is simply lambda naught minus a1 by root 2 sigma. There is a difference now. So we have taken this lambda naught to be half of a1 plus a2 in the last class. Now I cannot make such substitutions. Lambda naught is certain some arbitrary threshold in our case now. This is not exactly at crossover point. However, I can write this as to make make it more mathematical easy. I can make this, take this minus sign outside and write it as a1 minus lambda over root 2 sigma. Similarly, for the second term, so similar substitutions will be made, so that this also will be root 2 sigma dv. Okay, so for z is equal to minus infinity, again, sorry, this is plus infinity for the upper limit, v will be infinity, and for z is equal to lambda naught, the variable v will become what? Lambda naught minus a2 by root 2 sigma. Okay, so with that substitution, our probability of error will become what? The probability of error, the probability of error P of E, that's what we had represented as. So this will become probability of S1 times 1 over root pi. Again, I have not taken root pi into consideration. So that root 2 sigma in the denominator of Gaussian distribution gets cancelled. So the limits are from minus infinity to the upper limit, which is written as a1 minus lambda naught over root 2 sigma, okay, times exponential of minus u square du. Similarly with the second term with the variable v, probability of S2 times 1 over root pi, integral of the lower limit is lambda naught minus a2 over root 2 sigma up to infinity exponential of v square dv. Okay. Again, the condition of Gaussian symmetry, the distribution of Gaussian is symmetric. So to after imposing that, I can, okay, since Gaussian function itself is symmetric, okay, which means that integration from say some minus infinity to some variable minus x is same as integral over x to infinity of the same function. So imposing that fact, I can rewrite this integral, the first integral, as probability of error, probability of S1 times 1 over root pi integral. This will become what? A1 minus
Even minus
naught,
lambda naught pi.
root 2 sigma. So to infinity e power minus u square du plus probability of S2 times 1 over root pi integral lambda naught minus a2 over root 2 sigma to infinity e power minus u square dv. Okay, so we know that this function 1 over root pi into integral of x to infinity e power minus t square dt, yesterday I have written, that represents our complementary error function. So that's the reason we have expressed in this fashion. So, and hence this will become what? I think, have you missed any? No, but you need to have 2 by root pi. I think the error function is defined as
2 by root pi
yeah,
integral x to infinity.
Yeah, x to infinity e power dummy variable minus t square dt. So the 2 has to be taken and has to be divided to compensate that fact. So I need to divide half onto both expressions. So I will have half as common outside this bracket. So that this will be p of s1 into error function complement error function of a1 minus lambda naught over root 2 sigma plus p of s2 times complementary error function of its lower limit, which is lambda naught minus a2 over root 2 sigma. This is the minimum probability of error for the threshold lambda naught that we have set. Okay. Yeah, of course, the expression looks clumsy, but once you try to apply for specific cases, you will understand the simplicity of this expression. Again, very similar what we had done in the last class. We noticed that the symbol time t, okay, which is a duration of the symbol, doesn't appear in the expression of probability of error. Again, we can say that this is due to the consideration of clock sampling or center point sampling type of receiver that we have implemented in obtaining this expression. Also, the energy of the symbol also doesn't make its appearance here. Okay. Again, we'll utilize the matched filter type of receiver in order to have the influence of the energy of the symbol onto probability of error. First and foremost, as might have done in the expressed in the last class, that once we are done with case of two symbols, we will try to apply for binary baseband pulses all the line coding schemes that we have considered in the last semester, and we'll do that for both center point sampling and applying matched filter as well. That's our first objective. Probably today we'll be able to apply onto line codes using center point sampling or clock sampling. Probably from tomorrow we can take for the case with matched filter and start applying onto other bandpass modulation schemes that we have studied in this semester. Okay, so without wasting much time, so I'll go ahead with the first case of generating the test statistic from the clock sampling. Okay. Okay. So in that case, we have different. All right. Okay. So we'll begin with the first case. The first case is with respect to when the symbols are equiprobable. Probably that I have already done, but just for the sake of clarity, I will pick that again. Then we have seen that this lambda naught will be the mean of A1 and A2, okay, A1 plus A2 by 2. Then probability of error applied to this generalized expression would become what? So this would be probability of S1 is half, so half and half, which is 1 by 4 complementary error function. This 1 by 4 will be common for both the terms. The first term of error function, complement error function, will become, what will this be? When lambda naught becomes A1 plus A2 by 2, so this will be A1 minus A2 by 2 root 2 sigma. Okay, plus this is complementary error function. This will also become A1 minus A2 over 2 root 2 sigma. Okay. And hence this will give us the similar expression what we had done in the last class. So this is complementary error function A1 minus A2. I have taken that as delta Z, if you can recollect, which is the difference between these two means. Now I have just used some other variable A1 and A2. That's all is the difference. Okay. So what would be the second sub case in this? We can have unequal probabilities. Say probability of S1 is say P, and since there are only two symbols, obviously probability of S2 would be 1 minus P. Okay, so what would be probability of error in that case?
First we need to evaluate lambda.
Yeah, first we need to evaluate lambda because we don't know what is lambda for this. Okay, so lambda naught, which is a threshold for which we are going to get
A1 plus E2 by 2.
Yeah, lambda naught is basically tau, which we had represented it as tau plus sigma squared A1 minus A2, okay, times natural logarithmic of P of S2 by P of S1. So this is 1 minus P over P. So for this lambda naught, you can with this lambda naught you can. So PE would be now applying this lambda naught to generalized expression of probability of error. So this would be half times P of S1 is P of S2 is 1 minus P, and lambda naught is what we have written just now, and the rest of the expression remains same. So P times your complementary error function of A1 minus lambda naught over 2 root 2 sigma. Sorry, not 2 root 2, just root 2 sigma from the expression that we have derived. Okay. All right, plus 1 minus P times complementary error function of A2 lambda naught minus A2 over root 2 sigma. Okay. So this is my case 2. Let's try to apply for the known cases where what kind of line coding schemes that you have studied in your earlier semester. We have probably studied unipolar, polar, bipolar, or alternate mark inversion. In short, it was called as AMI, then Manchester. So we'll try to apply for all those line coding schemes and try to express their performance in terms of probability of error. So let's take the case with only return to zero. I'll tell you why. So one first case is unipolar RZ. Okay, let me first do for unipolar RZ. Since there are only two symbols, we know that these two symbols are equally likely to occur. What we had considered or assumed in case of this scheme of line coding scheme. What is the value of A1 in this?
1
A1 would be 1, or in general I can take
plus
this as
5 or plus
uh,
p, yes.
plus V volts. Okay, so and A2 is 0. This is unipolar case. Okay, so we can take the case of case 1 here. The case 1 deals with the equiprobability case, likely occurrence of these two symbols. We can utilize this expression of probability of error for case 3 directly. So I can say that probability of error is half of complementary error function A1 minus A2 by root 2 root 2 sigma. So A1 is V. So this is V by 2 root 2 sigma. So if you have
So
AWGMI,
if you're taking return to 0, then A1 should be plus v for half the time and 0
no,
for half the
yeah,
time.
sorry. So this is the case with not return to 0. So this is over. Yeah, thanks for noting that down. Yeah, so this is over the complete time period 0 to t. Okay.
Okay, so we'll be taking only NRZ for this
Yeah.
discussion.
So what would happen with RZ scheme? Can you guess? What's the problem of, can you apply this expression of probability of error for return to zero schemes? For return to zero case, we should have the information of the symbol period. We should know what's the duty cycle of return to zero, whether it is 50% or 60%, at what time it is returning back to zero should be known to us. In the sense, the probability of error expression should have the knowledge of, or should have the information of the symbol period, right? So we cannot apply the probability of error expression that just now that we have defined for the return to zero cases, but it's totally fine for NRZ schemes. Okay, so yeah. The case 4 would be the case with polar NRZ, non-return to zero scheme. Yeah. So in case of polar NRZ scheme, what is the difference between case 3 and case 4? The probability of symbols occurrence is again equilikely. Okay, that's what we have assumed in line coding scheme as well. But what is A1? A1 is some plus 1 value or plus V. The other, I mean, bit 1 if we represent it as plus V, bit 0 we can represent it as the other way around as minus V, right? So that's what was your polar NRZ scheme. Lambda naught, the threshold in our case here would be what? Would be tau again, because
0.
yeah, tau, half of A1 plus A2.
Yeah, that will be 0.
Yeah, this would be, in our case, would be 0. Yeah, A1 plus A2 by 2, in our case, this would be 0. So again, we can utilize the case 1 result, okay, using the case 1 result. What is the probability of error? This will be half of complementary error function.
V by root 2 sigma.
Yeah, correct. So this is A1 minus A2 by 2 root 2 sigma. Yeah, as I told. So this will give us simply, yeah, I think I've written it as V1 and V2. And just take this as V and minus V. And hence this would give us simply V by root 2 sigma. So that is here probability of error of polar NR Z scheme. Finally, we will take the case of 3 symbols, which is your bipolar scheme. Again, this is NRZ scheme itself. This is a case with 3 symbols, right? So when there are 3 sets of symbols, that plus 1 is represented alternatively. So if I say this as say representation of bit 1, the probability of occurrence of plus 1 is what? I'll come to that. Bit 0 is represented as just as 0. Again, the 1 can be represented as inversion of this. Alternatively, we are going to mark this bit 1 as plus V and minus V. What is the probability of each of these symbols? Can anybody tell? What is the probability of this +1, probability of 0, and probability of -1? Exactly. So if this is half, bit 1 will be, bit 0 and bit 1 are equiprobable. So bit 0 occurrence is half the probability, and other half is divided between these two if they're equiprobable to occur. Okay, so that's how we can define the probability of these symbols. Now, if we try to apply the probability of error expression for AMI scheme, okay, I'll call this as for AMI. Okay, this would be probability of 0, probability of S1. Here I'll take this as S1, S2, and S3. Probability of symbol S1, which is probability of 0 times. So what is the error in this probability? Bit 0, when you say the bit 0 is erroneously mapped to some other symbol?
Either mapped to 1 or either mapped to -1.
-1, correct. So there are two occurrences of this probability of errors. If I say one occurrence of that probability of error is similar to that in the case of unipolar RZ, if I take that probability of error occurring or mapping this symbol 0 to either +1 or -1, if that is one probability of error, so a probability of 0, that is double chances of mapping. The error is double when compared to your unipolar NRZ scheme, and hence the symbol 0 either could be mapped to +1 or to -1, and hence it is twice as that of the probability of error as in case of your unipolar case. That is your first probability of error. I'm not trying to express this in terms of complementary error function, because since we are already done for unipolar case. Similarly, for the symbol say +1 now, what is the probability of error in this case? What is the probability of error? Even if I say if I map symbol +1 to symbol -1, equivalently I am mapping that to in binary case as bit 1 itself. Correct. So in case of if the error will occur only when if I map this +1 to the bit 0, and hence if I say even if I try to map it onto symbol -1, I would not be committing any bit errors in a big picture. So the error will occur if I transmit symbol +1 will be only very similar to the case of unipolar, and similarly with case with probability of transmitting symbol -1, which can be erroneously be mapped onto symbol 0. Okay, so this would be the case of AMI. Right. So if I try to substitute all these probabilities, probability of 0, this is half times twice of PE, plus probability of +1 is 1/4 into PE, plus 1/4 into PE. So, and hence you can say that probability of error for AMI scheme is what? This is 2 gets cancelled. This is half. So this is 3/2 times of P. I can say, to be specific, this is probability of error of unipolar. Now, if you try to compare probability of error of polar, unipolar, and AMI, which gives you the highest error in probability? Can you at least compare the case with polar NRZ and polar unipolar?
Polar NRZ will be the least, then unipolar, and then AMI.
Yeah, that's correct, because the argument of complementary error function is less here. So since it is V/2√2 sigma, so if it is less, the complementary error function will give you more value, and then the probability of error in case of unipolar NRZ is greater than the probability of error in case of polar NRZ. And how would you compare with the AMI? AMI is 1.5 times of probability of error of unipolar. So this is much worse than the unipolar itself. And hence, if you want to write inequality, the probability of error in case of polar NRZ scheme, okay, I'll specify that, is lesser than probability of error of unipolar NRZ, which is lesser than probability of error of bipolar, or since we have called it as AMI, I write it as AMI itself. Okay, so this is the case with the line coding schemes.